I'm going to try to give you an understanding of how resolving a trauma should be handled. Because it's more than just sitting down and talking about a particular combat event or any other experiences you may have had in the military that you find traumatic. It's more than just dealing with the situation. And here's why. This is an event, any event, and it's happening right now. Let's assume it's causing you 10 pounds of grief, whatever the situation is. As this is occurring, what the brain does is record the event. But you have to understand that memory is three-dimensional. So it's going to record not only what you saw, but what you may have heard, smelled, tasted, touched. It's going to record everything that you thought and everything you felt emotionally. Everything gets videoed, stored. And it gets stored into what I call a file folder. So over the course of your lifetime, all kinds of things happen. They get videoed and stored, and they get stored in what I call file folders. So over the course of your lifetime, all these things get stored. So God only knows how many file folders you have, each of which has stuff in storage. Now, just like a computer, what determines what goes into which folder is the subject. Similar subjects get stored together. And when I say similar, I mean central theme, lowest common denominator. Okay? So, once this situation starts, as it's happening, what the brain does, without your awareness whatsoever, because it's happening within the system, you have no idea that this is happening. It's scanning all the folders that already exist that has something in storage that is conceptually similar to what's currently going on. Let's assume this is the identified folder. Let's also assume for similar prior events in the past, from the day you were born, you already have stored 100 pounds worth of grief. Once that folder gets identified, two things are guaranteed to occur. The first thing that happens is what's in storage gets uploaded into the current situation. So your reaction to the current situation is not 10, it's not 100, it's 110. 10 from now, 100 from all your yesterdays. When this situation is finished and it's ready for long-term memory storage, where is it going to go? It's going to go here. Why? Why? Similar subject. So before you're storing 100, now you're storing 110. So over the course of your lifetime, as similar events continue to occur from time to time, you keep dumping into that same folder. Now my problem with the system, the mental health system, is that probably 90+% of the time, you go to see a therapist, this is what they're going to work on. You come to them with the PTSD, that's what they're going to work on. What are they missing?
The other 100%.
The other file folders.
Yeah.
Now why is that important? Because they interact. Now before I said generically similar, conceptually similar. For example, let's assume that you were in a combat experience and maybe you were injured. Just a little bit. Doesn't even have to be much. That's here. Here, at some point in your life, you were in a car accident. And you had a mild injury. Or maybe no injury at all. But you could have been injured. That's going to interact. So if all that's being focused on in treatment is the PTSD from the military experience, and this is not identified or ignored, the most you can hope for is what? In terms of an outcome.
10% cure?
I'm not going to put a percentage on it, but the most you can hope for is one of two things. Even if you get a 100% result, it's going to be temporary. the symptoms are going to return. Why? Because this is still active. Even if it's not a temporary result, it's going to be a partial result. Why? Because this is still active. This is exactly the reason why I believe, this is how I practice, that when I have somebody that comes, for example, with a PTSD, let's say it's military related, and I take their history, and I see that they grew up, for example, in a very abusive family environment. Parents were fighting all the time. The child was physically abused, emotionally abused. It was a hostile environment. That's what that kid grew up with. When they were older, they were bullied in school. All kinds of things have happened throughout their life. Whenever I'm in that situation, I give them homework. On the very first session, what's the homework? When I see you next time, have a list with you of everything that has ever happened to you that when you think about it today is still upsetting. And I tell them to put it in chronological order. Why? Going from oldest to newest. Okay? Why? Because this memory storage file folder, it's a vertical system where events get stacked on top of each other. And what I've noticed over the years, if I work them chronologically, and I nail numero uno first, what's at the bottom of the file folder, almost 100% of the time, anything that sits above it just falls like a house of cards, and I don't even have to deal with it. So what's the main advantage in doing that, other than getting a better result? What's the main advantage? Speed. Okay? So I can get through that one event fairly quickly, and then move on to what brought them to my office. So it speeds up the entire treatment process, which is important for a variety of reasons. One is cost. If you're in treatment for less time, it's going to cost you less money. Excuse me. But more importantly, the suffering. I want you to be a happy camper as quickly as I can get you there. Okay? Every day is an ordeal as long as you're suffering. So speed is important to me too. Without sacrificing the end result, you know. And that's why you gotta do this. So, whatever situation you're in, if you're out seeking help from anybody, more than likely they're not going to tell you anything about this. But even if they don't, you bring it up anyway. Oh, by the way, doctor, yeah, my leg was blown off in combat, and I'm really upset about that. But I'm also upset about the fact that my spouse used to beat me up. I was raped 3 times. Do you see what I'm saying? Just spill your guts. Get it out on the table so it can all be cleaned up. Because if you don't, you're shooting yourself in the foot again. Because you're going to get a partial result. So even if something is more important than something that happened earlier, I still want to deal with the earlier first. Get better results that way. Starting point. Once I have that information written down, then I start with item number 1. And that becomes my treatment plan.
That's the lowest one, the first one on the list, is that correct?
Correct. The first one is equivalent to this. The bottom of the file folder. And 90+% of the time, what brought them to my office, for example, with the PTSD, would be at the top. But I'm not going to go after that until the very end. I want to clean house on what comes before. What happened to this person prior to going into combat, prior to being injured? See what I'm saying? The unconscious mind has one job. It's there to protect you. It's all it does 24/7, never an exception. So if there's something out there that's a potential threat to your safety and well-being, that system will reflexively kick in. And the way that one of the ways that it does that, it goes into memory storage, accesses all your file folders, searching for anything that has ever happened in your entire life that is conceptually similar to what's currently going on. Why? To give you a clue on how to handle the present situation. give you an advantage. It's a survival strategy, hardwired into all human beings and animals. To give you a flavor of how powerful the body is, most people incorrectly believe that from the surface of my skin in is everything that's me, and from the my skin out is the rest of the universe. That's not true. This system is so powerful bioelectrically that it literally exits your body for the purpose of protecting you. Some people call it intuition. Well, how'd you know that? Well, my gut told me. I'm telling you what that gut really is. It does exist. It's not just some slick concept. Okay? Everybody with me so far? Got it? Any information that comes into the body that is a potential threat, anything that is consistent with what's in memory storage, the body will stay strong. Any information that comes in that's not consistent with what's in memory storage, the body will reject the information, physically causing the body to get weaker, all in the service of protecting you. Survival of the species.
Clearly.
How many psychologists does it take to change a light bulb?
One, but he has to do it 20 times.
No. It only takes one, but the light bulb has to really want to change, and that's 90+% of the time I can track the problem back to one or both parents.
What is that?
One or both parents. Childhood experiences. Whether it's verbal abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, abandonment. Okay? It's a very heavy price to pay. There are major consequences to the child. And like I said, time is irrelevant. So if somebody says, well, that happened 30 years ago, forget about it. It doesn't happen. You can forget, but you can't. Listen carefully. Food, drugs, alcohol, sometimes sex, such as porn addiction, things like that, and gambling. What do they all have in common?
Addictive.
Pardon me?
It can be addictive.
Yes, that's too general. Be more specific.
They numb your emotions.
Technically, they're characterized as oral dependencies.
Or moral?
Oral. Okay? Why?
Phallic stage.
I understand what you're saying, but I'll take it back even further than that. When you were born and you came home from the hospital, you're in your crib and you start crying. Mom walks into the room, picks you up, tries to comfort you, but you're still crying. What's the next thing she does? No. What's the next thing she does? She checks your diaper.
What?
She checks your diaper. If the diaper's clean, what's the next thing she does? She puts a bottle or a breast in your mouth. So we are literally taught from infancy, if you're upset, put something in your mouth. Now, whether or not that becomes a lifelong problem is environmental circumstances. Okay? If you're in a negative environment and you're upset a lot, what do you need to do? You need to feel better. The fundamental place that we all need to be at a core level is I'm okay with me. And the way things actually work, if I'm okay with me, then automatically, without even lifting a finger, 360 degrees around me, everything's okay. Even if there's a problem, it's not a big deal, I'll take care of it. If I'm not okay with me, then automatically, 360 around me, nothing is okay. Everything is an ordeal. And that applies to anything and everything. In the physical universe, the concept of positive and negative energy exists 100% of the time. Agreed? Mm-hmm. If you take that concept and apply it to man, this is what you get. This is a pendulum of human experience. You've got the positive things you've got the negative things. Here are all the positive things in life. I've got a great job, a great career, got a couple of bucks in the bank, I got a family that I love, friends. Here are all the problems, whatever they are. Here is the ultimate in happiness. Here is the ultimate in unhappiness. Now here we were talking about physics with the magnet. If you actually look at a pendulum that's swinging, whatever degree it swings to in one direction, it will swing to an equal degree in the opposite direction because of gravity. That's why it's an equal swing, okay? Here's the ultimate in happiness, here's the ultimate in unhappiness. Here, you're so happy you can't even sit still. Here, you're so unhappy, you're suicidal. And there's everything in between. Now, given what I just said, where's the best place to be?
In the center.
Center? Anybody else? Here? The correct answer is dead center.
Balance.
Correct. Let me explain why. Right here, dead center, where this pole meets the axis, I call that gratitude. Gratitude for what? Gratitude for everything. All the wonderful things I have in my life, all the problems that I have. Why have gratitude for a problem? Because literally, nobody ever learns anything from something good. It never, ever happens. The only opportunity we have to learn and grow are from the problems that we encounter. That's how it works. So in that sense, there's a blessing behind every curse. I also gave the pole itself a name, and I call that wisdom. Now let's assume on June 18, 2015, your level of wisdom is right here. Now let's go to geometry. Draw a straight line from that level of wisdom to the arc, and this is what you get. So at this level of wisdom, your potential for mood swing is this great, depending on what's going on. Let's assume through whatever method, listening to me, taking a class, reading a book, your level of wisdom has now increased to this level. Go back to geometry. If you go from that level of wisdom to the arc, this is what you get. So as you move up the pole of wisdom, your potential for mood swing is shrinking, and you're getting close to full gratitude. Oh, become a better person. Okay?
Or helpful.
Oh, loving, helpful, charity,
But working on yourself.
and working on yourself. You grow that way too.
Because in the case of combat veterans or those who have seen such atrocities and gone all the way to extreme suffering, how without the memories go all the way back to happiness again? The EMDR and
Yeah, the only thing that means
so it's
is-
working at it.
The only thing that means is they have to call me. Okay? So given what I'm saying, this is 100% validation as to the importance and validity of the work that Ron is doing and the organization. He and everybody involved in it, including everybody that's here, is moving up that pole of wisdom.